Democrats accuse former President Trump of a judicial coup d'etat when he filled vacancies on the federal bench. But as of last week, President Biden has actually nominated more people for the federal bench than President Trump did during his first year in office. Judicial vacancies are important for many reasons, including the right to a speedy trial and the efficient adjudication of civil claims. But there is a constitutional process, which includes the advice and consent of the United States Senate. Federal judges are appointed for life. That is a long time. Presidents appoint women and men to the federal bench who will assuredly be in office long after the president's gone and very likely be in office long after the senators themselves are gone. Some federal judges have served for over half a century. So is it really asking too much that these senators be allowed to meet with these nominees before actually voting on them? Judges not only serve for life, but they make important decisions such as passing sentence in criminal cases and adjudicating the constitutionality of laws and regulations. It's an important job, which is why U.S. senators have a role to play in the selection of these women and men. Federal judges include both trial judges who serve in one state and Circuit Court of Appeals judges who issue orders and opinions that impact multiple states. For instance, South Carolina is in the same judicial circuit with North Carolina, Virginia, Maryland, and West Virginia. Judges nominated in South Carolina are likely to have an impact on the lives of people living in Maryland or West Virginia. So, of course, senators from those states will want to meet and vet those nominees. Except they can't. Despite the historical norms and the importance of the positions and the life tenure and the power federal judges have, the Biden administration apparently doesn't want senators meeting with the very women and men they have to vote on and who will be making decisions which impact their states. Dan Sullivan is a United States Senator from Alaska. Alaska is in the 9th Judicial Circuit, a circuit that includes 8 other states. But the decisions made by the 9th Circuit impact Alaska. So, of course, Senator Sullivan wants to meet with these nominees. Except he can't. He's been denied meetings with prospective judges. Maybe he votes for these nominees or maybe he does not. But he's not even allowed to meet with them. And that doesn't make a lot of sense to me or to him. Senator Sullivan joins us now. Thank you for joining us, Senator. I actually watched your conversation with Senator Whitehouse from Rhode Island on the Senate floor. It was cordial, as most Senate conversations are, but I do not understand the explanation for why you cannot meet with judicial nominees whose decisions impact your very state.
Well, Trey, listen, I'm really glad you're raising this topic. And by the way, Merry Christmas. Great to be on the show. But here's the thing. This administration, with some Democratic allies in the House and Senate, has been smashing key constitutional norms. As you know, they're trying to pack the Supreme Court. Look at Elizabeth Warren just announced that. They're trying to kill the filibuster. And then this one comes up, trying to undermine the advice and consent role that the U.S. Senate has with regard to nominees, especially, as you mentioned, judges who have life tenure. So I've been fighting this, and I'm actually glad to report right now that we finally have a victory in this one. We have stopped in its tracks this latest attack on the Constitution and constitutional norms. But I'll tell you, this was a breathtaking overreach, another one, by the Biden White House.
Well, good for you, Senator. How in the world? Because I think it was just this week, I watched you and Senator Whitehouse. I think you had put a hold on something until they just simply let you meet. So how did you pull this off?
Well, look, I called the White House, the Biden White House, said, what the heck's going on? I meet with every Ninth Circuit judge no matter what. As you mentioned in your piece already, the Ninth Circuit has enormous power over my constituents. They often get legal cases wrong. So I said, are you the one, White House counsel, not letting me do my advice and consent role as a U.S. Senator? You know, it's hard to tell who's in charge over there in the White House. She actually said, well, we want to protect our judges. I said, protect our judges? What the heck are you talking about? Protect them from what? Us doing our constitutional duty? So I put holds on these judges, and I got all my Senate colleagues to commit to voting against every Biden judicial nominee. And then I started talking to Democrat senators, too. And to be honest, I think I convinced some of them to say, we're not going to do this. We're not going to undermine the Senate's advice and consent power. So we played hardball, and finally I started getting some meetings with these judges who are up for life tenure appointments, will have enormous power over my state and the whole, Ninth Circuit, Trey. That's 1 out of 5 Americans. But this, again, is just another power grab and an undermining of constitutional norms. We got to keep fighting. We had a victory on this one, but there's a lot more of the Constitution we got to protect.
Senator, they do serve for life. They make incredibly challenging, difficult decisions. I've been lucky. Every federal judge I've appeared in front of you would have been proud of, whether you voted for them or nominated them or not. They were wonderful. But the issue of temperament, will that robe get heavy? Will you change? How do you make that call if you've never met or talked to the person in person?
Well, you're exactly right. And here's what I did in these meetings when I finally was able to have them. Again, I've met with every Ninth Circuit judge, by the way, every D.C. Circuit judge, every Supreme Court justice, of course. It's a huge part of our job. It's Article 2, Section 2 of the U.S. Constitution. The notion that the White House would say you can't do that under the Constitution because we want to protect judges is just crazy. But when it comes to the issues of temperament or their knowledge, what I do in cases with Ninth Circuit judges, Trey, I send them several U.S. Supreme Court cases that have an impact on Alaska. I ask them to read them so they're up to speed on big issues in my state. And then I talk about issues like the Second Amendment. Let me give you an example. Almost 70% of the households in Alaska are gun owners. I mean, the Second Amendment is hugely important to my constituents. So I raise the issues that matter to Alaska. And to be honest, these judges usually don't know anything about these issues. And it's a way to educate them so when they're on the bench for life, they are doing things that represent everybody in the entire circuit, not just where they're from. And unfortunately, in my case, California produces the vast majority of the Ninth Circuit judges. Alaska gets 1 judge out of 29. So you better believe I'm going to interview every single one of them. We finally fought back and won against this latest Biden attack on the Constitution.
Well, Senator, just to show you how much of a nerd I am, I was actually watching C-SPAN, so I listened to it, and that's what piqued my interest. Congratulations to you for getting this resolved. Life is a long time. You have a job for 6 years. Mine is sort of day to day or night to night. But life is a long time. So kudos to you for staying on it and getting it resolved. Merry Christmas to the entire Sullivan family. And thank you for being with us tonight.
Thank you, Trey. Merry Christmas to you and your family as well.
Hey, Sean Hannity here. Hey, click here to subscribe to Fox News YouTube page and catch our hottest interviews and most compelling analysis. You will not get it anywhere else.